We're at Bulgari and we'll be chasing microns. We're looking at the brand new thinnest watch in the world. The Octo Finissimo needs little introduction. Over the past years, it turned into a true icon of horology. It's a statement of style, of Italian elegance. However, beyond the aesthetic appeal, it's also a technical achievement, as slimming down watches to such extremes is a daunting task that demands the utmost precision and skills. The brand's remarkable series of records includes, among others, production of the world's thinnest watch in 2022. That was the Octo Finissimo Ultra, at a mere 1.8mm. However, Bulgari's reign was short-lived, as a few months later Richard Mille introduced a watch shaped like a credit card with a profile of just 1.75mm. Now, it's time for Bulgari to grab back the record and the bragging rights with the Octo Finissimo Ultra COSC. At 1.70mm, it's paper thin and looks it looks entirely surreal. From a technical perspective, it relies on the same principle as the first Octo Finissimo Ultra. It was developed with movement specialist Concepto. Such a technical achievement requires pushing the limits of ultra-thin manufacturing, trimming down the components to the limits of feasibility, and working with the most extreme tolerances. It also requires out-of-the-box thinking, with a complete re-engineering of the entire watch, reimagining each component, its architecture and its functions. In particular, with the caseback serving as the movement's base plate, the idea is to avoid having different layers in the watch's architecture, taking advantage of the entire surface of the watch, rearranging, building all functions in the same horizontal plane. This watch involved the filing of no fewer than 8 patents. To get even thinner, the shape of the bezel, of the crystal, the dials and the barrel have been reworked. And importantly, the watch is now chronometer certified, showing that it's not just a concept watch or a prototype. The Octo Finissimo Ultra COSC is a limited edition of 20 pieces, and they will go through the COSC test. We're meeting with Antoine Pin to find out more. Antoine, thanks so much for having us here and congratulations on that world record. What was the motivation to shave off a little bit more from that Octo Finissimo Ultra?
There's always this notion of competition. Obviously, we stick to these world records, we love them. And as much as I must admit, I said there would not be further records. The fact that we are engaged in a race, of course, pushed us back into this race. Now, obviously, we didn't want to just stick to, as you said, shaving off a couple of hundreds of millimeters to beat the record. I think that what is interesting in this quest is going beyond this pure notion of minimizing the dimension. We wanted to bring more to it, the same way we did it when we introduced Octo Finissimo, when we actually went through the whole range of complications that the watch industry can offer to somewhat discover the field and uncover areas that we didn't necessarily master at the beginning. When we entered into this race, when we looked at what our competitors were doing, there were two points that were very important to us. The first one was the wearability, the fact that we would make sure that whatever the thinness, anyone could wear the watch at any time and use the watch not as a piece of art exposed on a display in their home, but as actually a proper watch. And that was very important. And the good news is, with hindsight, we see that people are wearing our watches. Some people are playing sports with our watches. But it happens. Actually, know someone who plays golf with it.
Wow.
Who does play golf with it, and it works. So it's the best crash test ever for us, exactly. Which is amazing. But that was one very important point, the wearability. The second point was never forgetting the fact that we are making watches. And as much as we are entering a world where clearly watches are an expression of mastery of crafts, of technicity, of ingenuity, we should never forget the notion that is key, which is chronometry. And so we thought, let's make sure that a watch that is so thin is super resistant, but is also precise. And so this Mark II of Octo Finissimo Ultra is actually a chronometer.
So all 20 pieces of the limited edition are chronometer
yes.
COSC certified?
Yes.
Wow,
It will be
that's
certified.
pretty impressive. How is it possible to shave off those few microns on a technical level?
There's no revolution in it. It's actually a very tedious work. Obviously, we did show off a bit of the components. We actually have a thinner crystal glass and a different bezel, and as such, because the bezel is slightly thinner, we also adjusted the case, which is the plate. But more importantly, to get to the chronometry result that we wanted, the work is obviously capitalizing on our history, on our understanding of the capacity to be precise enough, and the first assembly of our first set of 20 Ultra of the first generation, identifying the assortment that will be matching the criteria of chronometry. And this is really out of the sets of production of every component, identifying each and every component that assembled as a module will deliver the proper performance. And to do so, we basically measure each and every component. So we have systems of measurement of dimension, thickness, resistance of all those components. And we have an evaluation of the performance of each component, and there's a GOES approach, basically. So you are identifying the components that are fundamentally at the center of this GOES curve. Then you're associating them. And if, for any reason, one of those elements is slightly unbalanced, you then compensate with another element that will actually compensate when you are adjusting and fine-tuning the module. The capacity that, through the patent of the module construction of our watch, we have the capacity to build a module, and so to work by sets of components. So the fact that we can split these sets in smaller sets allow us to work module by module, but fundamentally it's a super tedious and meticulous work of selection of the proper components to be able to achieve this performance.
So the watch comes with something extra. Can you tell us more what it is?
Like for any Octo Finissimo Ultra, we offer an exceptional box. Always thinking of this notion of wearability. The watch is actually a hand-wound watch, but we wanted anyone that owns this watch to be able to wear it at any time. And so the box is a complex tool that actually is setting the time and rewinding the watch at any moment, allowing you to wear it when you want, without having to reset the time and to rewind the watch. So that's one of the assets. And then you will notice that the watch doesn't bear the QR code up front on the rochette as it used to be. The QR code is actually on the back. It's actually a data matrix that you can actually notice on every watch that we've been producing over the last 2 years. This data matrix is actually a door that allows you to have a digital experience of your watch in all sorts of ways. So obviously you will remember that through the QR code, you could enter the metaverse, have an artistic expression of the watch, but you could also have access to videos, information about the product. In this case, through this QR code, you have access to all information about the product. You also have access to the warranty, to the user's manual, to all information related to the product, and more. So that actually the watch bears its own information and its whole environment, be it from the initial thoughts about the product, the making of the product, and as well, as I said, the technical information about the product.
It's pretty impressive. Congratulations again on that world record, and thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.